Hello and welcome to the Philippines, and welcome to this video about Philippine province life. And I've got a number of news updates to give you as well throughout the video. This is over on Bohol Island in the Philippines, up in the northeast area, Ubay province. And the term province in the Philippines, every place is in a province, just like every place in the U.S. is in a state, unless it's a territory. But province, the term province is usually meant to imply outside of the bigger cities. And people have told me, go out, go find a girl in the province, sir. They're not corrupted by the materialism of the big city yet. So we're talking about in the country, basically. And many of you desire to live outside of the big cities in the province. Some of you remote provinces, very country style, and perhaps you grew up in those types of places in the USA, different parts of the world. Anyway, this is this trip. My girlfriend took this video, and there's a fiesta going on up in that area, and people from their relatives from Mindanao and from Luzon up north. A lot of the relatives came in. I did not go on the trip. I had some other things going on, dental appointment and things, and I think it's more of a family affair. You know, everybody is family there, and I think I would just kind of get in the way. So anyway, they are walking, and we're going to walk by some huge fish farms. You wonder where a lot of the fish comes from the Philippines, and a lot of it comes from the sea. But there's also a lot of fish farming going on here, and we're going to walk in and around a bunch of those here in a bit. And you know, you got to feed the world's population. You would like, and I would like, all fresh, clean, wild caught fish and grass-fed beef and other livestock, open range chickens. But you have to feed what, eight about 8 billion people on Earth, and it requires a certain amount of factory farming. And anyway, perhaps a video for another time, discussion for another time. First of all, June 12th, which is the day that I'm making this video, editing it, is Independence Day in the Philippines. And I tell you, they celebrate it just like you do back in the USA. I think there's going to be some different fireworks displays going on in the evening. I can tell you all night last night, all night, and I mean all night, started about 9 p.m. They cranked up the music uh, a few streets away from me, and I'm 20 floors up in a condominium, and sound travels, and they started playing not the good pretty Filipino songs, but they start playing all this electronic pounding, boom, 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 crap. And in my opinion, it's just crap. But yeah, pounding, and had to listen to that all night long, and till about 4 in the morning. And about 4 in the morning, the parade started out on the main, just a couple blocks from me. There's Osmeña Boulevard, and they started with the drum and bugle corps and different things marching down the street with police escorts, part of the celebration. So there was noise, little sleep, and a lot of noise all night long. And different events going on today around the Philippines. Independence Day, June 12th, independence from the USA. So first, a little news about the weather. We have officially Pagasa, the government-run organization, agency that tracks the weather and climate and various things here in the Philippines. They announced last week that El Nino, the drought period, is over here in the Philippines, and we went through the biggest drought. Seems like every 4 years since I've been here, 2015, 2019, and 2024. big drought periods. This one was the worst. I've never seen it so long. And here, yeah, they're crossing a raging river down below, crocodiles, and all sorts of no crocodiles. There are crocodiles in certain parts of the Philippines, I believe. Is it down in Mindanao, perhaps down south someplace? Anyway, we have gone into our wet season, what they call the southwest monsoons. The wind comes from the southwest. The warmer, more moist weather comes up from the southwest, and we get more rain, starting usually about in the first couple of weeks in the middle of June. Varies a little bit by year. But anyway, I think in the last 7 days we've had maybe 4 days at least with some rain. Rained hard a couple times. So much needed because there's a lot of crops out there that weren't planted or aren't growing if they were planted just because of the lack of rain. A lot of produce out there. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Anyway, yeah, much needed rain, and we'll have. But somebody asked in one of the comments in one of the groups online, what about this monsoon? Is that something to really be worried about? They call it the southwest monsoon, and when it comes from the northeast, they call it the northeast monsoon, and more of a drier season. But it's not. When I first heard the term monsoon, I envisioned rain all day, almost every day. Not at all. Not at all. My observation experience in 9 years here in the Philippines is that it might rain sometime during the day, it might be morning, afternoon, evening, varies. Um, and it'll rain for 20, 40, 50 minutes, and then it quits. Might rain again that day, might not. Life goes on. If it rains hard, you'll get a little bit of flooding in some of the low-lying areas, so be aware of that. If you're looking for a place to rent and it's flood-prone, something to think about. Now, I believe that this family, my girlfriend's relatives, they're walking over to where the Fiesta is going to happen, I believe, and this is the most direct route. And boy, you wouldn't want to walk this at night, especially if you've been drinking. You have been drinking at the Fiesta, I think. It could be a little hazardous to your health. But anyway, this is all fish farm type areas, in my understanding. Different people, different families own different sections of these fish farms, and they feed them and give them, I suppose, certain types of no, in the food. Does the food have antibiotics? I was thinking about doing some research about that, but it's going to vary by the country that you're in. Uh, but I suspect they're, unlike the wild, they're much more densely populated in fish farms like this, and therefore more susceptible to different diseases, different things, parasites, and therefore part of the feeding and treating program is to give them certain types of drugs, either through their food or whatever. However they do it, I'm not sure. They don't inoculate them with a needle, I'm sure. You've heard the expression, you are what you eat. And, it's kind of the same thing with all these animals. If you have grass-fed beef, cows eating what they would naturally eat instead of the grains and everything else that they feed them, you get one type of quality. If fish eat other fish or whatever algae, whatever else they eat, you get a different tasting fish, different nutrition value than if you're feeding them fish food, which contains probably soybeans and a number of different things as well. I watched a video by a marine biologist a while back, and she did a lot of research about farm-raised fish, and she was talking in particular about salmon, farm-raised salmon. And kind of her conclusion was, if you are eating farm-raised everything else, if you're eating all this ultra-processed food, the cereals and the flours and all the ultra-processed foods and the sugars and the starches, um, is it going to hurt you anymore to eat the farm-raised fish? You know, if you're going to go organic, basically, is what she said. And makes sense. Makes sense. If you're really going to get serious about eating healthy, it's more expensive. I try to do that to a certain degree. It is more expensive. Some of these organic farmers, rightfully or not, try to get. They do get a lot more for their money. Not all organic things are that high priced, but it is. Getting back to holidays in the Philippines, the Philippines probably has almost the most holidays of any nation on earth. So they have a lot of holidays, and not only do they have national holidays, but what I found, Cebu City, your barangay might have its own local holiday where the immigration will be closed. And yeah, immigration will be closed. Your banks might be closed. Some other government offices would probably be closed. And then they have, on short notice, the president or somebody will announce a non-working holiday a couple days ahead of the time. And unless you're watching aware of the local news or you ask somebody, you won't know about that until you show up at a bank or government office and, oh, it's a holiday. Now, the Philippines is presently in their slow season, and their high season, like so many Southeast Asian nations, is maybe November, December, January, February, a little bit into March, when it's cold in the northern hemisphere. People are taking their vacations. They're going to places in Southeast Asia, other warm places. And so that's the high season, and usually you get higher rates on transportation, airfares perhaps, hotels, resorts, and we're in our slow season. So if you come during this season, don't let the term monsoon scare you away, because there's a lot of clear days or parts of days that are clear and not raining. There are days that don't rain, and you can get out and do things. On a rainy day, if you're going to go scuba diving or snorkeling, after a storm, you might find the water a little less clear, but still pretty good for those events, depending upon the particular area and what kind of. If they've got a river flowing down. If it's raining in the mountains, the river is flowing with the dirt and debris going out into the ocean. In the area that you're snorkeling in would be a little less clear. And you should be able to find some really good deals at resorts around the Philippines. They've been expanding resorts. There's still a relatively high vacancy, condominiums and such, Airbnbs in the metropolitan Manila area, as well as down here. I've noticed I stopped by a lot of places. I've done a lot of property type videos, condos, and if you want to see what they look like inside, what they cost, what they rent for, I've got a whole playlist on that type of thing, and cost of living, a number of other playlists. And if you enjoy this type of video, think about subscribing. I think over 60% of my viewers are not subscribed yet. Thumbs up always helps. Comments always help with algorithms as well. I put 2 to 3 videos up each week. And if you want to support the channel, I've got links in the first comment of the video. The ways you can, with PayPal and Buy Me a Coffee, where you can help support the channel as well. I recently read that Boracay, they're getting quite a few quite a few tourists, but that's one of the most popular places, if not the most popular place in the Philippines. And they were getting, they surprisingly, they said that they were getting mostly domestic, mostly Filipinos, and not nearly as many foreigners as they expected out there, which really surprised me as well, because it is such a popular place. Now, a little bit about traveling and money here in the Philippines. Philippines is still pretty much a cash society. There are a number of companies that offer digital wallets, I guess you call them, Gcash, which is Globe Cash. It's not Google Cash. Maya, a bunch of different ones. There's some that cater more to the Koreans, more to the Filipinos, more across the whole spectrum. And what it is, basically, you prepay. You've got a prepaid. You go to a 7-Eleven someplace. You give them 1,000 pesos or 5,000 pesos, whatever, and you load your digital wallet, and you can use that QR code on your phone, smartphone, for instance. Hold it up. The 7-Eleven, the merchant scans it, and they withdraw that amount out of your account. A word of caution: I've got a friend, British friend, down the hallway from me, and he had 5,000 pesos, about a little less than 100 US dollars, fraudulently taken out of his account. And I know he protested, and I don't know if he's gotten that back yet or not. They're investigating. They're supposed to try to find out what happened, but there's a certain amount of fraud. So personally, I've had a Gcash account for over a year, but they get very, very poor ratings, and I have attempted many, many times to verify my account, and I can't. It keeps telling me, fail, try again. So if you're going to use a digital, you might try to use Maya, Maya, I think, or some of the other services. But if you're traveling outside of the bigger cities, when I was even in Iloilo a few years ago, I had to go to 5 different ATM machines to finally get some money, get some cash out, because I was spending more cash because very few places took credit cards. And I like using the credit card because I've got a record of where I'm spending it. Of course, you want to pay that bill off because there is interest charges, of course, and I use a Capital One Visa as well as a MasterCard, and they do not. A lot of credit cards will charge a foreign transaction fee, and Capital One does not. I'll put a link in the description of the video. They offered me a small deal if anybody signs up through a link that I provide. I get a little bit of a deduction, which is always nice. Helps pay the bill anyway. But yeah, even when you go to book resorts and rooms outside of the city, even in the city, a lot of them will say Agoda and Booking, no payment required at this time. That usually means that they only accept cash, is my experience. And you show up and you hand them your credit card, and no, we don't take credit cards, sir. Or even if they do, they're offline at the time and they can't take it. So assume, if you're traveling, assume that you're going to have to use cash. Now, when you're thinking about how much cash should I take if I'm going to this island or a couple different islands, just assume that you're going to have to pay cash for everything: your food, your resort, your hotel, your transportation. That way you're safe. Well, here, I had that happen to me a number of years ago. I think I was on Siquijor Island, and when I arrived there, I was starting to get pretty short on cash, and the resort I went through wouldn't take credit cards, and so my tricycle driver took me down to a bank, one of the only banks around, and he said, yeah, sometimes the ATM is working, sometimes it's not. Fortunately, it was, and fortunately, it would accept a foreign credit card, and it had cash. It wasn't out of cash. It accepted my card. I was able to get enough cash to keep me going for a couple more days anyway until I got back to Cebu City. Also, don't assume that you're going to have internet access and cellular service every place you go, because there are still, it's improved over the years, but still there are areas where it's poor service, or you basically have three cellular companies here. You have Globe, and you have Smart, and a new one. What's it called? I can't think of it right now. One might have a pretty good service in one area. The other one might not have service, and vice versa. And then there'll be areas where you don't have much service at all. I was in a jeepney or van traveling on Bohol, and trying to find a hotel room, 30 minutes down the road, and all the way along, I might get an internet connection for a couple seconds, and then it would disappear. The Philippines is still one of the easiest countries in the world to travel to and stay relatively long term on a tourist visa. You can come in. People from most countries, not all countries, but most countries, get a no cost 30-day visa stamp in their passport when they arrive here, and they extend it another 29 days, then they extend it one or 2 months. Anyway, hope to see you all soon. Take care, safe travels. See you next time.